Hey everyone, it's DebraSue with Toledo to the World. Happy to have everyone join me. I know it's going to take a few minutes for everybody to kind of pop on. But if you're joining and listening to me tonight, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Roku, if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, welcome to the Toledo to the World with DebraSue show. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for supporting, as you always do. Each and every one of you are very important to the success of this show, so thank you for tuning in. Today I have a very, very special guest. She's in my opinion, and I know she hates me to say this, but she's a superwoman. She is a powerful voice for the many. Let's just say it that way. And I appreciate you, Fonda, for coming on and joining DebraSue with Toledo to the World today. I brought you on this show, young lady, because I think that more people should know about you. Whoever doesn't know about you tonight, they're going to learn about you. They're going to know today, right?
Don't scare them yet, Miss Day.
Well, I tell you what, I am gonna I call her a superwoman for a reason, you guys, because Fonda is one of those kind of people that I say she's more than just a community advocate. She's a community friend. And she is a helper to individuals who can sometimes not even help themselves, and those who can, she's there to offer her bit of advice from her life and her experiences as well. So welcome to my stage, Fonda. I'm happy to have you here, girl.
Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So, Fonda, let's start out talking. First, let's tell Toledo and the rest of the world, because this is Toledo to the world. You guys, we're speaking out to people way outside the parameters of Toledo. Let's talk about who Fonda is. Fonda Royster.
So currently, I got three main hats. So I was the domestic violence specialist at juvenile court. The ironic thing is, I didn't work with the youth. I worked with the parents who were survivors of domestic violence. So 90% of the cases I got, which was all the cases that come into juvenile court, they were survivors of domestic violence, and it also intersected with exploitation. So
Mm-hmm.
I linked them up with services. I was sort of like the mafia middleman. Like I gave them an offer they couldn't refuse, right?
I like that.
And it was very eye-opening though, because that's what also introduced me to the world of teen domestic violence, because nobody really thinks about that. We really don't want
Mm-hmm.
to think about, youth being in unhealthy, intimate relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But 70% of homicides have to do with teen domestic violence. And it's just not the teenagers, the typical high schoolers. No, we're talking about tweens ages 9 on up. That's who I
Mm-hmm.
engage.
Well, Fonda, that's statistic. That's a staggering number when we talk about young people. That's staggering. And just from your experience, why is that number that high? I mean, of course they have the violence in the home, but why the high rate of teens homicide or suicide?
Oh, it's a lot of factors. With that, we were just talking about that yesterday at a training. To me, primarily it starts in home. It starts in home.
Mhm.
How the kids feel about themselves, what they view to be healthy, unhealthy, toxic, validation. It all starts at home. And
Mhm.
if they're not getting anything positive sewn into them, it's the opposite, right? Is
Mhm.
I engage young ladies, because we're kind of fast forwarding, but that's fine.
Sure.
I engage young ladies, again, that age 9 years old, primarily to 17 years old. Some of these young ladies, they have never been told, I love you, I'm proud of you, you matter. It wasn't your fault.
Mhm.
And we all have coping mechanisms. Whether or not you're walking, that will never be Fonda,
Mhm.
jogging, writing stuff down, or it could be the opposite. You're a cutter. What's the
Mhm.
purpose of life? Why was I created? I'm tired
Mhm.
of being abused and nobody's seeing me. So the easy way
Mhm.
out is to take myself out. So
Mhm.
primarily it starts at home, I feel. And of course, social media, that plays a major role, because I have found that young ladies, especially, I focus on all babies, don't get me wrong, but it is
Mhm.
different when they look like you, because we
Mhm.
got less resources, we're less believed, and they compare themselves of the appearance of social media. This is how you should be. This is how you should act. you should be happy all the time. Nothing should
Hmm.
affect you. If it does, it's something that's wrong with you. So
Sure.
you need to make yourself suffer. So
So,
those are
so let me ask you this then, because when you deal with young people that have these social issues, these issues at home, familial issues, I have always said I'm from a household where discipline was always, in the household, and we were always put back on the straight path when we strayed a little bit. Do you find that these issues are higher amongst one parent families or two, or does it matter?
it is going to primarily be single households, which is primarily female headed. It
Mhm.
is. It
Mhm.
is. I know people may feel some type of way about that. It doesn't take away your ability to love your kids the best that it can be. But the reality is, if you have two positive adult influences in the home compared to one who has to fulfill the other person partner's role, but they're absent, it is going to be an effect. And just think
Sure.
about it. Majority
Mhm.
of single female headed households in Toledo, 80% are in poverty, below the
Mhm.
poverty rate. So how do you think mom's mental health is?
Sure,
I'm tired, I'm
absolutely.
struggling. She's probably not going to be, doing a river dance every day.
Right. Yeah. I kind of have come to the same conclusion myself, and it's really actually becoming a bigger acknowledgement that, and don't get mad, ladies, when I say this, but a lot of our children's problems are because of us as single women, single household women, actually trying to play two roles in the household that we actually are not necessarily entitled to play. Your sons need that example before them. Your daughters need that example before them. And so, I was listening to a Ricky Smiley. I think it was Ricky Smiley show. It was one of them out there, so don't quote me on that. But they were saying a lot of the problem that we have with these kids are their mothers. The mothers.
I can't. I think it's so easy to put it on the moms because we're typically
Mhm.
the ones that stay.
Yeah,
So it's easy to blame us.
true.
But statistics show the father sets the tone of the child's validation of who they think they should be, who they are, how they deserve to be valued and appreciated. The dad set the tone. They're the protector. So if you're not in the household, and you ain't gotta be still with the co-parent, because I'm very transparent. I am divorced, but my children's father is very present. Like my daughters, they tell everybody they gonna marry their daddy. And I'm like, please stop telling them. And he's also our son's first superhero. So even if
Yes.
they're not together, dad can still be present because you can't get on a mom because again, if she got to do all these extra roles, she's exhausted. And
Hmm.
then the child is most likely left unprotected. I ain't just talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally.
Sure.
It's supposed to be a balance. So I don't think it's fair to put on moms. I think I will say we do need to, as women, we do need to be more intentional of who we decide to have kids with.
That
And I
part.
say that even with the males, because it's not just that when they turn 18, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to my kids' weddings. I don't know
Yeah.
about y'all. I'm going to college graduations. I'm doing all of that. And most likely, these people have already shown you who they were.
Right.
One thing I would say more about women, though, we got this thing called hope. Like I
Hmm.
know he look like a crackhead, but I feel like if I love him enough, he gonna stay clean. We just have this hope, and it's like, no, you know that saying when somebody show you who they are, I'm
Believe
gonna
it.
believe them.
Yeah, exactly. Believe it. Yeah. I love your mentality. I like your line of thinking. Let me ask you something. What actually put you into the play? What led you in your teen years or in your younger 20s? What led you down this path to become who you are today?
To sum it up, Miss Dev, to sum it up, before I became homeless as a teen, both my parents had issues I had no idea about because I'm not supposed to because I'm a kid.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, that means they're dealing with their own mental health and trauma and just being ratchet, living their best life. So now I'm placed in different households, right? And
Mhm.
every child is not safe in every household. Even if it's your family member, you don't know people's secret fetishes
True.
or even their kids' fetishes because kids get exposed to things too they're
Mhm.
not supposed to. So fast forward, I am 13. I'm back with my mom full time. My dad, at the age of 6, he remarried, never met the lady till they had my sister who's right under me. She couldn't stand me. Pretty
Wow.
much told him we only acknowledge kids within the marriage, not bastards. So my daddy
Mm.
said, "Hey, gotta let you go." Now, mind you, my I was so tight with my daddy. I was that one saying I'm gonna marry my daddy.
Aw.
I still have memories of him singing Marvin Gaye "Let's Get It On" while he going getting ready for dates. So inappropriate, but it was the 80s. And then to go from daddy's girl to now you're dropped, and then when I got dropped, that is when I started being molested.
Mm.
So again, like we can get on the mamas, and because my mama was wrong too, but he was my protector.
Sure.
He left me.
Mhm.
And that's what I said. People want to cope with certain things, and I didn't know at that time that they were both in different households dealing with the same things: molestation, DV in the home, extreme poverty, right? So anyway, going back, I'm in the house 13, and my mom she got her trauma, I got my trauma. I did not tell anybody that much. The few times I did tell people, I still had to stay in the abuse. I remember my wrist got, I was staying with a caregiver, and I don't know if you can see it. My wrist got, she beat me to my wrist, busted open. I told the right people. Guess what? She still was taking care of me. And majority of everybody took care of me because they was getting a paycheck. I was a cash cow for them. So now I'm back with my mother, and when somebody broke her heart, it was like, what's that lady that killed herself? I can't stand this feeling all alone. Black jazz singer. Just the whole house was down when she was down. And one day she hit me with a cast iron pot pan. Them cast iron pans. Season up the roast real good. And I was like, so I'm not about to let you hit me no more. Like I didn't break your heart. I ran to my aunt's house. I told her what happened. My aunt tell me, "Well, you call children's services because I'm not no narc." Okay. Call children's services. The lady comes to get me. She takes me to Wendy's. I remember because back in the day when you broke, fast food was a luxury. I told her everything was going on. I'm thinking she's going to remove me out of the household. We go to the household.
Mhm.
She confronts my mother. My mother does not deny any of the charges. She was like, I did, but also something new happened I never seen from my mom. My mom cried. At this
Mm.
point, I'm 14.
Yeah.
I've never seen my mother cry.
Mhm.
And she was vulnerable. She told the lady, I'm tired. We're poor. We're struggling. And I was just like, oh my God. I was so focused on it's crying. Because again, my
Yeah.
mother was, just strong. The lady
Sure.
looks my mother in the face, said, keep your hands off your daughter, leaves, closes the case, never sets up any intervention services. So we come to another head. And this time I'm kicked out the house. So I was
Mm.
living on my own for approximately 6 months. And the thing is, people, when you think of homeless kids, they typically think, okay, staying with the mama in the shelter, things of that nature. No, I was staying with whoever I could stay with. And then it was a few times I'm like, ugh, I got to chalk it up to the game. And I got to stay with people I don't want to stay with. But this is the thing, I'm not about to sleep outside. I wasn't about to do that. It was a grace that I never had to sleep outside. But at the same token, I got to let somebody fill on my boobs because
Yeah.
I don't want to sleep outside. And people don't think
Mhm.
about, when my aunt, which is my mom, she got me off the streets. But okay, yes, I have shelter, but then I still got to process everything I did in those 6 months to survive on the street.
Mm.
I tried to go to school one time. School down here started in August. I
Right.
went to school maybe the end of September. None of the teachers said, where you been? Is anything going on? They looked at me like, oh, you just that student that want to do what you want to do. Okay.
Mm,
I fixed myself with Miss Deb the best way I could. I had no money. And I wasn't about to sleep with nobody. I hustled my money. I again fixed myself up the best way I could. And then during gym class, I hear whisper, I ain't paying no attention. And pretty much that was like, she stink. And I did because I was a dirty kid, because I'm living on my own. I walked
right.
out that school door, never went back to school. I didn't go back to school till mid-January when I moved to New Jersey.
Mm. So your journey, your past journey, do you feel like that helps you to quickly identify then kids who may need help, because you wore an exterior, that really did not define what you were going through. We talked about earlier, you've been through all that. Does that help you maybe relate a little bit better to some of the kids that maybe exhibit some of those very same traits? Because, for example, you have a therapist who comes, been through school, been through this, been through that. Well, you've had the education from the street. You grew right from that. So does that help you more quickly identify kids who could possibly be going through? Because the kids nowadays, they just say what it is. Back in the day, some things were
Yeah.
hidden, but the kids now, some of them, not all of them, but some of them are just like the young lady who was on a live not too long ago. She was on Facebook crying for help. She was on social media, I should say, crying for help. She had made the reports and she still ended
Mhm.
up on a live because her cries went, I don't want to say they were unheard because I think people heard them,
They
but I
were
think
they no they were unheard because they read it and then they just put an emoji, but nobody tried to connect her with individuals like me, and not just me, but you
mm-hmm,
got the YWCA, you have Bethany House, and I
mm-hmm.
think the crowd, they're whack. They are so whack for that, because if I see that, I'm friendly stalking you. I should not say that as the DV specialist, but I'm like, boo, is you okay? What can I not know? Dang, for real, girl.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? He
Mm-hmm.
is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really? And
Right.
and that's why women, particularly women of color, we stay silent,
Mm-hmm.
because we're never heard when we do talk. We're never believed when we do open our mouths. And I
Yeah.
wanted to go back to the question you had asked. I will say this, particularly when it comes to domestic violence and when it comes to homelessness and exploitation. You will rarely get somebody to admit, yeah, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm doing. Because
Yeah.
I got relatives now, I honestly know they did not know what was
Mm-hmm.
going on. But then you're, even when you have an excuse, you're still without excuse, because obviously I didn't feel like you were a trusted adult. So that's an issue. So
Mm-hmm.
even though it's hard to see that who may be in at risk for certain things, that's why I believe in relationships. I do, and the girls, and when people first engage me, first of all, I'm a lie anyway. I don't mean to be George, because I'm a lie anyway. So for somebody to come from, from that survivor mode, and you meet
Yeah.
me bubbly, I'm bubbly, but I am being the person I wish I had. I would
Mm-hmm.
rather get on your nerves because I'm in your face too much than I
Mm-hmm.
don't even check up on you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I get a lot of information with that's how it really starts off. It's
Mm-hmm.
engagement. And then they start saying stuff, because I need to know, in their mindset, are you going to be consistent? Can I
Mm-hmm.
trust you? Are you going to judge me? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to, in my line of work, you're going to hear stories. I hear of young ladies who dad is also their baby daddy.
Mm.
If I look at them like they crazy, you think they're going to keep talking to me and engaging me? And if
Mm.
they don't
Not at
talk,
all.
they're silent. And you suffer in
Uh-huh.
silence.
Sure.
I didn't mean to get off
Because
that.
that was actually one of the things I was going to ask you, because you have dealt with people of different ages, is how do you build trust with your clients, whether they're young people or old people, when they're skeptical because they don't really have individuals that they feel like they can talk to, but oddly enough, Fonda, they want to talk to you. And I think it's because you make the effort to establish the relationship, to kind of, as we say, get in somebody's face, not to be a smart aleck, but to be in their
Right.
face to say, "Hey, are you okay? I'm here to talk to you. To just tell me, what is it, And I like how you do that, because I think as adults, we don't get in our kids' face enough to just put our arm around them and say, I'm here to talk to, right? I when we did the Kid Fest last year, um, the first thing come to our minds when these big group of boys come down the street was a little bit of intimidation, and they sat down and start talking, and we engaged with them, and it just became a real smooth, easy relationship. Whereas the first thing we want to say is, kids are trouble, they're gonna, they're this, that, and the third, and a lot of them just want the engagement because they don't have it from adults.
And can I say this, Ms. Deb, not to cut you off?
Hmm.
Behavior is the language of trauma. They're responding off what's going on with them. Was I
Hmm.
the perfect homeless kid? Absolutely not. I was fighting, I was drinking, I was doing all of that, but it goes back to that. What is my learned coping skill? And even
Hmm.
when I came to Jersey, I still identify myself as a freak. No, literally, that's what I identify myself at, because that is what I was groomed to believe. So
Okay.
those things, you need people that are going to be consistent and say, listen, you get on my nerves right now, but I am here. Because please don't get it twisted. Don't think every, you know what I'm saying, every baby I engage, they just like, hey, how you doing or whatever.
Hmm.
No, because teenagers, they're aliens anyway. And then, women, we are unique characters.
Yeah.
So, but even through that, I don't focus on that, because again, that craziness is just the language of the trauma that they have been through.
Hmm.
So I'm not focusing on that.
Right.
And eventually, that's when they open up, like you. And then it's the thing, we so used to being let down, they expect me to back up. So then it's like, wait, you still here? Yep. And I
Hmm.
don't do that social worker engagement. I don't like feeling engaged. And I like
Hmm.
to treat people like that too. Do you like being interviewed? I will blank out and see my birth all over again. You keep
For sure.
popping with a whole bunch of questions like I am. So it's
Right.
just even just what, how's your day, boo? Oh, your hair slick. Who did your hair? You know what I'm saying? I want to
Yeah.
get to know the person, not just the problem, because the person is not the problem, and the problem is not the person. I want to know the
Absolutely.
individual.
That's absolutely correct. The person is not the problem. That's really the takeaway from everything, is that the person is not the problem. And a lot of times these young people have gone through things and they show signs of some of the stuff that they've gone through is what they went through. It's not their makeup. It's not, they didn't do it to themselves per se. Now I'll step out on a limb a little bit and say a lot of times our actions result in certain consequences that we don't like. And they were because of our actions, but if we don't treat individuals as if they're in a clinical setting and we sit down and we talk to them and say, hey, it's just us. I'm not going to ask you 5,000 clinical questions. I'm not trying to take notes or anything else. Let's just talk and let's straighten this thing out before, something ends up down the wrong road. And unfortunately, I really feel like that's really happening with a lot of not just our young people, but I am finding that there are more people dealing with these anxiety and mental issues well past their teens now, well past their teens, and so much of what is happening, we wonder what on earth, who thinks of some of this stuff, or what happened to respect for other people, or respect for life, or this is that and the third at the hands of young people unalive other people. It's because they have needed someone to talk to. They have needed to get this pressure off their chest. They have needed someone to just put their arms around and show some genuine love. We put our arms around people now, we can get arrested for stuff like that.
Oh, well,
you
you
know
listen, that be my listen, you engage. Well, you already know I'm a hugger.
yeah.
Sometimes I be like, is it okay to hug you every now and then? But I will
Yeah.
say this too. It is a different society, because
Mhm.
I was just telling somebody, even growing up in the projects, right? Like you knew you didn't have it, but you didn't feel poor, if that makes sense. It still was a sense of community. It
Right.
still was old school Grammys with
Hmm.
with the hole in the rose, the Salem cigarettes, making some
Yeah.
homemade cookies. That was both my grannies.
Hmm.
Nowadays, I ain't tripping because you're a little younger, but you twerking with your granddaughter, it's
Yeah.
just a different mindset. It's just a different mindset. And I appreciate you being honest and saying, hey, we seen these young boys. And at first we was like, but you're not the only one to feel that way. But I
Hmm.
like that you did engage them, because can you imagine how many people walk past them, and them are the ones that need the help, the turn up
Exactly.
ones that look like they
Yep.
turn up. We had an event. I had an event at the library with our group through the Toledo capacity, and I
Mm-hmm.
had the little furry teddy bears, right? And so I was just gonna give it to the participants, which were grown. And
Yeah.
all these young boys, teenagers, they were like, "Can I get a teddy bear?" And I said, "Hey, you about to rip the teddy bear head off?" No, ma'am. And they really was like,
Yeah.
when I ran, I felt so bad. I ran out of teddy bears, and you could see someone was like, "I'm gonna have to get somebody for their teddy bear." I'm like, "Don't you get nobody for their
Right.
teddy bear?" And it just
Yeah.
like it was a culture shock for me because again, they're like, and then they was like, but it was theirs,
Yeah.
something for them to hold on to. You don't know what these kids are going home to. Like
Yes.
I can instill, but I also know I have some parents that are night dancers inside the house, and that
Mm-hmm.
child has to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So all you can do is just again just be that trusted person. And I love that ambiance. She checked me on this because I always say, this is a happy space. And she was
Mm-hmm.
like, you can be in a good space, but it be evil people in that space. So we want
Absolutely.
to reform that and say happy space, I'm sorry, safe space, safe people. So I
Mm-hmm.
always, this is safe space, safe people. Because again, the kids I engage, if you are homeless, living out on your own, again, I was 14. I couldn't get no work permit because I didn't go to school. I didn't go to
Mm-hmm.
school because I was a dirty kid. What
Mm-hmm.
are my options? Probably my assets. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't get mad when a young lady or a young man, that's another subject people don't even want to deal with.
Yeah.
If they say, I had to sleep with these many people, my
Mm-hmm.
thing is, you call me, so you ain't got to have nobody sweating over you. How
There
about
you
that?
go.
And
There
I'm
you
not,
go.
again, I'm not looking like, girl, you did what? You know
Mm-hmm.
you can get, because I can go back to a house, hot water and food. They can't.
Right.
So what do I look like? And I'm never gonna look down on nobody, man. No.
Yeah.
And I just,
So you have actually taken a lot of your personal resource, your personal knowledge, and you have used it for the betterment of not just children but young adults and older adults as well, because I know you communicate with the sisters a lot, the older women, because you and I have actually talked before, not too much onto too much of a deep
yeah.
level, but just what I've learned from you, I do know that you are a people person. You just are. No matter what you've gone through, you are definitely a people person. I Do you feel like, what role do you feel like the government should play? I mean, because we have that discussion all the time too, and it's like, do you feel it pushes people to a deeper hole, or do you feel like the government doesn't do enough?
Miss Dad, I was doing good. And then you will me in. They can do a lot. They can
Mhm,
do a lot.
mhm,
I'm probably gonna I stay in trouble, so I don't care. I have a problem. Your priority is trying to plant all these trees, and it's all these people sleeping outside. Literally, I am
mhm,
stepping over them because they're sleeping on the sidewalk.
mhm,
People make a priority what's important to them. I don't want to hear we don't have no money, but the lottery is still going on. You still got all these abandoned buildings, and they're not all crappy, but you won't give them to nonprofit agencies. And yeah, I'm gonna throw my name in there because the question I was asked was, "Well, how much money do you bring in?" And I said, "Cause homeless people got money.
right.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all that red tape policy stuff. I don't have patience for that because of lived experiences. And I'm
Mhm,
always conscious. I have recently just gotten over survivor's remorse,
mhm,
literally,
mm,
because I am always conscious out of one Fonda, there are still 15, 20 that did not make it.
right.
And the grace was I had my second mom.
Mhm,
Going back to your question, can the government do, it's not, and let me just say this too, not just government center, it's TPS too, because they are very much aware that there are issues going on with our kids based off the
mhm.
top saying. Even the courts, from the adults to the kids, they are very much aware of these are the issues that are going on with our families. And what are you
Mhm.
doing about it? But
Didn't didn't the system in particular in Toledo, because we had just had that recent issue with Kamani, they, I guess, in an effort to try and have some oversight even over the Children's Services Bureau, they just initiated an oversight for that committee to say, hey, We need to see what you guys are doing. Are you making the wrong calls? Are you actually answering the calls to these people? And I think you were appointed to that board, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think that's enough, though?
No, that's it's never going to be enough. I
Mm-hmm.
think, and I'm gonna keep saying this because people quick to say, bump children's services, they suck and this and that. But the truth of the matter is, if everybody was a decent caregiver, children's services wouldn't even exist. So
Mm-hmm.
let's even talk about that. But then it just cannot be on children's services. It has to be on all the sister agencies,
Mm-hmm.
hospitals, legal, schools. It's everybody needs to be accountable. This is all these issues I have talked about. It is too big just for one agency, one
Yeah,
person. It is impossible.
exactly. I
But
agree
we
with
can
that.
we can do better with collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
That I can say.
Yeah.
I because I got redirected when I made a comment about baby girl that passed, and I was advised, well, she wasn't in our custody, she was in granny's custody.
Mm.
I said, okay, but you still was accountable when them calls kept coming in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Right.
What
Yeah.
do we
And,
do?
and and unfortunately, a lot of what was predicted does happen. A lot of these issues get swept under the rug, and until the next, it's just like the gun violence, and it just continues to happen until it touches so close to home, that wakes people up. Accountability, and we have Mr. Sean. He says this all the time: nothing changes when nothing changes. For some reason, we have a very huge problem with accountability. We all need to be accountable for these young people. However, you get involved in it, in a good way. I want to say that if you see something that doesn't look right, then say something or do something or be something. And a lot of folks are just plain scared to get involved. You and I are not those people.
But to those
You-
people, because it's few, but it's a few people that will say, "Hey, I'm not comfortable, engaging these kids, talking to them."
yeah,
More so because it's like I can't relate to them, but they will help with whether or not they are volunteering their time, treasure, or talent in some other capacity, right? So
yeah,
I can even work with that. But when you do nothing, you are a problem. But at the same token, let me just say this: nothing changes if nothing changes, yes. But at the same token, you have to be approachable to even possibly have a collaboration, a
true.
partnership.
Very true.
That is very important.
Yeah,
If and everybody thinks differently, don't get me wrong. I am one, my board can tell you, we gonna feed the kids. What we feeding them? If I could, steak and lobster all day, but I know we can't. And so,
right.
they will me back.
Yeah.
But what if I was that person that always bucked against the system? Like, no, this is what I'm gonna do. Are we really gonna get anything accomplished?
Yeah. Collaboration is a big problem in this city. And a lot of us nonprofits we've actually discussed that in one of the classes we just went to. Is like there is a problem, but in my honest opinion, Fonda, I think we're going to be forced to collaborate because, the funding is not there for nonprofits anymore, whether it's a nonprofit or just a regular individual trying to use their own personal money, or resources, I should say. I think we're going to be forced down that road at some point, of working together. We should do this anyway, but boots on the ground, like, we have organizations that we call boots on the ground. We're right in the neighborhood. We're right in the middle of the highway, if you will. And I'll be honest with you, I have found that working with people like you and working with people like, a couple of the other nonprofit leaders that we've worked with, I really see a lot of what we do is the same, not necessarily overlapping, but closely the same. And I think that working together could probably, make a bigger change. But for some reason, it was mentioned in several meetings and cohorts that I've been to, is that we have a little bit of a problem doing that in this city.
It's very bad here. I know it can be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The first four organizations I reached out to that work with kids, only one responded, and that was Mom's House.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else was like, "Come back when you better known. I can't work with you because you're my competition."
Mm-hmm. That part. Yeah.
So that
Mm-hmm.
was That's what you again
Yeah.
from everything
Mm,
I talked about. That is all you gather from that,
yeah.
and that's sad
Mhm.
because I look at it. If you win, we win, and it's just like even this conversation. You may not have viewed it as this as such, but it's a collaboration. No, you may not,
Mhm.
deal with the clientele that I deal with, but just the fact that you have opened the door for other people to hear,
Mhm.
hey, these are issues affecting our youth, these are issues affecting mothers, or whatever the case may be. That is
Sure.
still a positive. So it is. Don't always view it as stepping on toes, and everybody does things differently.
Mhm.
Again, I'm a lot. Everybody can't handle me. You might
Right.
need a Betty Crocker that teaches on the same thing, right? Because she's calm, she's manner, and that works. So it's just that crabs in a bucket mindset. I no, I'll be more of the ego. I can do solo and do what I got to do, but that's not always beneficial either. But we got to find some middle to that. I have, but other people. And then I think one of the things is too that people have a habit of doing is comparing themselves, and that's not good either.
Can you hear me, Fonda?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
I'm-
Okay, I don't know what happened here. A little bit of now I'm gonna turn this back camera around because I don't know why I did that, but that everyone. Yeah, this kind of stuff happens, and I apologize for that.
Mhm.
Probably because I'm overtime. I'm thinking I'm getting a little tagged that I'm overtime because my show is only a half an hour. But I heard everything that you said. So we're at our 6:38 hour. What do you, what? Let me get a takeaway from you. What would you like for the audience to take away from this whole conversation? What do you think is one of the most important messages that you like to send out to our listeners?
For every topic that we talked about here, I don't want you just to take it as, oh, it's a good story. Oh, that's so sad. No, I need you to be an active key to beating over the head all these problems. You can be involved in some type of way. Be that person. As I said, I am just that person I wish I had. Even if you can't relate to nothing I said, you can still be that person for somebody else who hasn't had your good experience. Just
Mm-hmm.
don't take this and let the seeds fall on shallow ground. Do something with it. If you don't feel comfortable, find somebody else that will feel comfortable and help
Mm-hmm.
us nonprofits help other people. Everybody, I don't care what the background is, the backstory is, they deserve to be seen, heard, and respected and safe, point blank.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
that's
that's a really good takeaway, and I think if each and every and that's a form of accountability right there. That is a form of accountability, and if we all walk away with that mentality, if we all not just walk away with it, but put it into your daily practice of life, that is accountability right there. We can't keep standing on the sideline, people. We can't keep watching these commercials and listening to all this news about this, that, and the third happening and be like,
they're
oh
just
well.
reactive. They're not proactive because they get upset. over Kimani. Not to cut you, it just irked me over Kimani, and even
Yeah.
the recent killings amongst our young people. People get excited for a hot second, then
Hmm.
it's back to regular.
That's right.
No,
That's
that
right. Until it touches home, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm one of those people. When it touched home for me, it was like I never believed, I never believed in my life that something like that could move so closely to home. And then when it touches home, you kind of you're almost snapped into reality to say, what in the world? Wait a minute, what? And I'll be the first to tell you, it doesn't matter where you are in life, whether you're in a higher social economic category or a lower social economic category. What is happening with our young people is happening to our young people of all ages, like Fonda said, 5, 6, 7, all the way up into the 30s and 40s. And I was listening to one of the shows. I think it was oh, I can't remember, Potter's House. Highest number of suicide rates is among young black men under the age of 30. And that just was astounding to me. I said, and you know what he said? Talk to your boys. Talk to your boys. Sit them down and find out where their mind is. Sit them down and say, hey, is there something we can talk
yeah.
about? Or is there some
And
kind of way? Let's just open up to me, and that conversation is just so easy. Some of the young men who walk past over here, the organization, it's like, hey, you can stop and talk to me. I'm okay. I won't bite.
right. I just don't
you
like
know?
that word good. Like, because even for
Mhm.
me, I've been more intentional recently with my own natural kids. We do mental health checks. What's up? How's your day?
Mhm.
You can say good, but please know you gonna have a couple of sentences to say after that.
That's
Because what
right.
was good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is good? Exactly. Yeah. So moms and dads at home, get into your kids, and Vonda might disagree with me, but I'll get into no kid in your house has their own room and their own no. Get into those phones, get into that
Oh,
life.
why you thought I was gonna disagree? Did
Okay.
you hear? I'm saying, let me tell you something. If you was born before 1983, you still got good sense. I'm gonna leave it at like that. There is no, oh no, I will snatch a phone. I'm not asking
Yeah.
for permission for what?
Right.
I'm not. No, you not
Exactly.
spending the night over nobody's house. I don't know, and it ain't that
Hmm.
many people. No, oh no, boo. I'm very. First of all, you can't get on no electronics up in your room. It's
Yeah.
common space areas for me. Because
There
when
you
I
go.
say I'm old school, and it's also to keep your kids protected.
That's right. That's right.
So,
And yeah,
mm,
get nosy. You know what? Until we moved out of our parents' house, they got nosy, and I realized it as an adult that it was really for the benefit and protection of us, to figure out what's going on in your life. If you're not gonna talk to me, I'm gonna find out anyway what's going on in your life, and then we're gonna talk about, something maybe you're trying to hide. If you're trying to hide it, we probably need to talk about it. So
that part.
so but so let's talk about how people can reach you, Fonda, because I am I'm running out of time here, and I see my little electronics acting all
Okay.
crazy and stuff.
So the good thing is my name is Fonda, like Jane Fonda, but I don't work out. Ain't that many Fondas? Start typing my name. I don't know what color my hair gonna be when y'all type it up, but Fonda Royster. You could Google me. I will pop up. You can go on my LLC, Reza Solutions LLC.org. You can go on our nonprofit, Open Our Transformation Living website, which is OATL Toledo.org. You go on LinkedIn, all of the rest of social media, you know all that, Miss Deb. I'm old in my spirit, that snappy chat stuff. Find a Rosie. Just look up that and then you will see my pie face.
That's right. And ladies, if you need someone to talk to, reach out to me, but I'm telling you, she's the person you want to know, literally, because she's outspoken, and she lays the peanut butter on the jelly, as we say. You're gonna get the truth. You're gonna have someone who's going to be real with you, and especially if you are in a situation where you're dealing with young people, and sometimes as women we just come to our wits end. Sometimes we do, and sometimes it's just take another good person to talk to, another, and she can direct you to resources. She has
Absolutely.
resources. If she doesn't have the answer, or if she doesn't have the resource, she has the ability to direct you to the resource that you need. So please do reach out to Fonda. Please reach out to her if you can, if you will. All right, Miss Fonda, we're gonna wrap our show up today. I want to thank you so much for coming on and being patient with my little technical issues. Because, like I said, I'm a half hour show and I've gone over, so I get it when they want me to get off.
Tell her thank you. I thanks you.
Thank you too, and I'm looking forward to having you on again because you do so much for the community, and you got a couple organizations that you work with, and I really do want to link up with you because I know you got some stuff coming up. We kind of are doing some of the same stuff, but I'd like to get into your world and step over the
And I'll
line and
come
come over.
support you. I ain't gotta talk. I might do a two-step, but
There you go.
I'm I'm a supporter too.
You are. That's why I love you, girl. I appreciate you. All right, everybody. We're gonna wrap this show up. It is 6:45 hour, and I'm a little bit over. Like I said, I want to thank everybody who has tuned in. Thank you for the hearts and the emojis. I see each and every one of you. I couldn't see your comments on Facebook today, guys. I don't know what happened, but I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting the show and for, in particular, this one because it's issues, social issues that we need to address, and we need to give this attention to our young people immediately, so rather than later. So let's keep that in mind and become a proactive person in a young person's life, even if they're your children or your friends' children. They're all of our children. So that's what needs to happen. Make sure you join me next week for another topic of Toledo to the World with DebraSue. We're gonna have another interesting topic. Don't know if it'll be a Toledo person or somebody else, but this is Toledo to the World, so I'm pushing out all of you guys. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate you too. So till next time, as they say, same back cave, same back time. Next Thursday, you guys, 6 o'clock p.m. Get back here and join me. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Roku. Thank you, Instagram, and thank you, YouTube. And you can get this show. You can replay it back over on YouTube under Glass City Talent / to the World with DebraSue. Thank you, Fonda. I appreciate you.
Thank you, boo.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.